you know how I said I was going to be making seasonal favorites videos so that the videos wouldn't end up being so long? Well, about that. I never thought that I would be the kind of person who would end up liking a sports anime, but like after Katie Tastic, so Kat from Katie Tastic, started talking about it this year, and also Cheyenne has brought it up like once or twice, I realized that like maybe I should give it a try. Also, I started reading the Foxhole Court, and that kind of gave me Haikyuu vibes. So I was like, I kind of should like it's now or never for me actually trying out this anime, and I fell in love. Oh my goodness. I'm only like 5 episodes in, but it's now like one of my all time favorite TV shows. It's so good. I can't wait until I sit down and watch more of the show. Hinata and Kageyama are great characters. I adore how they have to be working together and stuff. They're competitive little high school volleyball boys, and I love it. And I just need more of it. I love all of the other characters too. I haven't met all of them. I definitely have not met all of them, but the few I have met, I love them all dearly. They're my tiny children, and I need them to be protected, even though some of them are like 6 feet tall. At first, I expected this show was just gonna be like slice of life, just like chill, nothing really interesting happening, but like all of the characters are so compelling and like complex and interesting. I really love seeing how volleyball is super important to each of the characters. Like they all are really, really passionate about the sport and about their team and stuff. And it's really interesting to see how that manifests in each character because they're all like competitive and ambitious in their own way, but it's different. Which there's a lot of these characters in this show and they all are representing similar like attributes in like wildly different ways, which normally doesn't happen. Normally, when a character has an attribute, they're either the only one with that attribute, or like everyone else who has that attribute has it in the same exact way. So, this is a super cool anime if you want complex characters who are all uniquely complex and just not like the same kind of complex. Every single episode of this show is edited so well. Like, I understand it's an anime, so it's animated, but like it's the editing, like the specific way that like shots are done and like also like the special anime things that happen are so cool. The pacing is really well done and the story progression in each episode isn't like it's not what I expected, but it's really well done and I really like it. Like I don't know exactly how to explain it and I also don't know if it's just this is how anime tells stories, but like I'm in love. Whatever it is, I'm in love with it. One of the plus sides, though, to having it animated as a show is that they can have these super, like, special, like, anime dynamic moments where, like, a character for a second will, like, have, like, wings or something, and then there's other things that they do with certain characters that I won't spoil, but they're cool. And I'm just like, whenever that happens, I'm just like, ooh, just symbolism. But it's not like it's in your face, but it's not done poorly. And I just think it's really cool. It's so cool. I'm only 5 episodes in and I'm already like raving about this show. So that should tell you something about how much I endorse this anime, especially as someone who does not watch anime. So like, I don't know any better, but I still think that this show is incredible. And you should watch it even if you're not into anime, because I'm not into anime. Don't really plan on watching any other animes. Still really love this show. The setup for certain moments in certain episodes, or basically in like every episode, but like the setup for certain moments in this show is just so well done. Like the build up within certain episodes to certain points, it's really, really good. And like this show just, I have emotions, complex emotions with every episode. And that's always a good sign that I'm very, what's the word? Oh my goodness, what is the word? Obsessed? Yeah, I would say that's the word. I'm very obsessed with every single episode. So, like, I feel a lot of things every time because I'm sucked in. The second the intro starts, I'm like, yes, it's time to go. Time to watch people play volleyball, a sport I only have, like, minimal experience with. I would recommend this to people who not only want rivalries with opposing teams, but also want rivalries within a team itself, because this show just has all the rivalries. Like, healthy, friendly competition with, like, your friend over there, but also, like, rivalry with whole groups of people, because they're the opposing teams. So, yeah, if you like a good rivalry, this show is for you. I enjoyed this game a lot when it first came out because, like, I really loved Undertale when it came out, and so when this came out, I was like, gotta play it right away. I didn't play it right away. I waited until I could play it with my siblings. But once I did actually play it, I was like, oh, that was a fun time. I enjoyed that. And yet this time when I replayed it, because I've replayed it a few times since I first played it, but like this time when I recently replayed the game, it was something else, man. Whoa. Something happened. And I related to Chris a lot more this time around, and I also just, like, cared about Chris as a character a lot more this time around. And, like, now the game, like, has, like, a lot of meaning to me, because, like, Undertale, I, like, care about it, and it's fun and stuff, and, like, it makes me emotional when I, like, think about it and think about, like, the music and stuff. And Deltarune was always like, oh, it's, like, fun younger brother kind of a thing, and now I'm like, no, this is, like, really important to me now. So, yay! Another game that I'm overly emotional for. Yay! It's what I wanted. But no, I am actually very happy that now I have another game that I can add to my list of comfort games and be like, yes, I really, really adore this game and it means something to me. And I feel things about it now, truly. So, it just felt right when I was playing it, and it didn't feel right necessarily when I was playing it the first time. But it felt like it needed to be played when I played it, and just the moment in time that I played it was just, everything came to a point, and I was like, oh, I was meant to do this, and now I'm in love even more so with the game. I also really love how colorful this game is, because, like, Undertale has, like, certain color palettes for certain locations, but, like, Deltarune, it's just colorful everywhere, and it also has its own specific color palette, and so if you like a very colorful game, this is a good game. I would recommend this game to people who have played Undertale before and who like stories about friendship that have mental health/mental illness subtexts in them. Yes, I did talk about this for my 2020 favorites, but it's back again because I started another path, so I have more to say. Something in general that I didn't mention in the first favorites video that I talked about this game is that this game is really good at giving, like, all of its characters complexities, like, even the characters who seem superficial at first, like, if you keep going and getting all their support scenes with people, like, they all get a lot more complex, and, like, it does no one dirty, basically. And with a game with that many different support scenes, I spend multiple hours just watching support scenes, because I'll just stack them up, and then I'll be like, time to watch the feature-length film that's called Everybody in My House Talks to Each Other. And it's a lot of fun, so I recommend you do it too. So yeah, I'm on the Edelgard path right now. My name is Umle, and I have even more favorite characters now. Didn't think this was possible, but I'm in love with even more characters this time around. By the time I'm done playing all the paths in this game, I'm just gonna be in love with everyone, and then where will we be? So yeah, this time around my top favorite characters are Edelgard and Linhardt and Yuri. I think we all saw those three coming, but, like, I didn't. Apparently I didn't. But now I'm in love with all three of those people. I have a problem. I have not finished this path, like, at all. I'm only on, like, chapter, like, 6 or, like, 8 or something. I'm really far behind. I have not been making a lot of progress in this game. Been playing other video games, pretty much. But I made some progress in this game, enough to have opinions about it on this path, and I love Edelgard. I adore her, and I will follow her wherever she goes. I cannot wait to see what happens in this path with Edelgard. It's gonna take a while, but, like, I'm ready for it when it happens. I mentioned this last time, but I am in love with Yuri. I'm in love with him. He has such a good voice actor, his dialogue is so good, and all of his support scenes are, like, some of the best support scenes in the entire game. Like, honestly, if you have not gotten Yuri on your team and gotten him into support scenes, you are missing out. He's such a cool and fun and complex character. I am 100% marrying him when I get the chance. Like, it's happening. Nothing's gonna stop me from marrying Yuri, because I'm in love with him. Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's in my way. Not at all. Nothing. Also, shout out to Abyss Keeper and Mr. Backup. I didn't mention this side story in my last video where I talked about this game, but if you like the plot of this game at all, and are interested in any of, like, any part of the plot, honestly, play the side story. It's so good. Also, if you like The Abyss, because that's where it's, like, focusing on. So, play the side story. It is so good. I was just like, I should play it. It's fun. And then I played it and I was like, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot of stuff by playing the side story. So, like, I would suggest you play it. And you don't need to have played much of the main, like, plot line. So, like, it only spoils, like, one or two things about, like, the beginning of the main plot. So, I'll check. I'll, like, put on the screen, like, how far you should play into the game to tell you, like, when you should actually be able to do the side story. But, like, once you've gotten past that point, play the side story. Because then you can, like, get Yuri on your team. And, like, who wouldn't want that, you know? I would recommend this game to people who like inter-character relationships and dynamics, and also who really want a game that has a lot of replayability in it. Because there's 4 different paths you can take, and I'm personally of the opinion that each time has a lot of replayability in it, even though you're gonna be in the monastery and kind of repeating a bunch of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't repeat, and I think it's worth the hours you have to put into the game. So, I say it has a lot of replayability. I've known about this game series for, like, a lot of years, but it was only, like, late last year that I actually started getting into the fandom, and then, like, recently, I actually played Danganronpa 2, because I had watched most of Danganronpa 1, and I also think I had looked up, like, spoilers for it, so, like, I knew spoilers for the game, and I was like, I'm gonna play Danganronpa 2, because I feel like it, so I bought it on Steam, I played the whole game, it took me, like, 50 hours, but I now have a new favorite game. This game is equal parts interesting and compelling and just like a plain good fun time. Like, honestly, all of the games in this series are just like, wow, there's super interesting and cool stuff that happens, but then also sometimes it's just like stupid fun. And like, that's really fun when you have a game that's like, here's the duality of video games. Fun and also, wow, my brain has been exploded because that was wild and interesting and cool, but also, haha, funny, good time. Recommend. A lot of the characters are super cool and relatable, and like a lot of them have like really interesting arcs. And like I find myself relating to certain characters and certain aspects like a lot, and like I'll get emotional over certain character like moments. Like there's spoilers, so I can't tell you like which characters and which moments, because like then why would you play the game if I told you everything about it? But there's just certain moments in this game and in other games where I'm like, I don't want to think about it too much because it hurts my heart. Like, this game has affected me. This game series has affected me. There's especially certain friendships in all of the games where I'm like, these are my favorite things. These 2 people, these 3 people, they're my favorite thing. Please be friends always. And then they die, and it's not fun. But, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's fine. I just feel so bad for all of these tiny high school kids going through so much in all of these games. It's like, oh, no, I don't. I just want them to be happy. And then they're really, really not. Mostly because most of them are dead. But, like, the ones who survive have to, like, deal with the trauma of what they just experienced. And, like, that's a lot. And it hurts my heart when I think about the kids having to deal with what happened in the game after the game is over. Like, I know I probably couldn't do it, and I hope that they're doing it okay. But all of that makes me so sad whenever I see anybody having fun in the game. It's always definitely followed by something horrible happening. So it's like, yay, everyone's having fun. They finally have hope, and then it's like, what are those storm clouds over there? Oh no! And I'm like, oh no! My worst nightmares are coming true. You can never linger on happiness long in Danganronpa. It's all about that good hope versus despair, constantly. And I hate it. Despite loving Danganronpa 2 so much, I still don't care for, like, the tropical setting. I'm never someone who's like, yeah, tropical setting is real fun. I'm like, I don't have a vacation love. So I'm not like, yeah, I really like going to the beach and look at these palm trees. Like, that's not me. So, like, tropical settings are never, like, a selling point for me, and it's still not a selling point. Love the game, not a selling point. Couldn't care less about the location of the game. The music, though. Music in Danganronpa 2 is so good. Like, yeah, certain tracks are basically the same as from Danganronpa 1, but, like, there are certain new tracks. Like, my favorite song of all of the games is Miss Monami's Practice Lesson. That is such a good song. Don't know why. There's other songs that'll make me more emotional, or just, like, better, technically, but, like, I'm dying on this hill that this song is my favorite song from the entire series. I mean, like, it's pretty good. My favorite characters in this game are definitely Nagito and Hajime and Chiaki, and I cried so much at the ending of this game. I've never cried that much at the ending of a game. I don't think I've ever cried that much at the ending of, like, anything. It was ridiculous. I cried so much. Maybe I was just tired, but, like, I got emotional, man. So, there's probably just something wrong with me, but I felt more emotions than I've ever felt in my entire life, probably, while, like, playing the last, like, hour of that game. Don't know why. Could not knowledgeably explain it to you, but it happened. I would recommend this game for people who want Phoenix Wright, but with murders and, like, plot and characters that actually matter, and who also want, like, even more bizarreness than there already is in Phoenix Wright, because Danganronpa is, like, the wildest ride. Also, though, if you want to play Danganronpa 2, you kind of have to play Danganronpa 1 first, and also then if you want to continue with, like, you can't play these games out of order, because they spoil each other pretty heavily, so play Danganronpa 1 first, and then play Danganronpa 2, and then hopefully you'll understand why I felt things at the ending of the game. This is a great roguelike, and, like, I've never played another roguelike before, so I have nothing to compare it to, but, like, I'm really enjoying this game for its, like, actual, like, physical gameplay. So, take that with a grain of salt, because I have nothing to compare it to, but it physically, like, plays very fun and engagingly. This is a very hard game, but it's also a very, very fun game. It's just overall a good time. The art is incredible, the music's incredible, the dialogue is incredible. Everything is so good about this game. Especially for someone like me who really, really likes Greek mythology. I'm just like, I know you, and I know you! And I'm just, like, hype for everyone to show up, because I'm like, what else are you gonna tell me that I already know, but, like, already love so much? There are a few characters who I don't know very well, but, like, most of the characters in the game I know very well, because they're, like, very popular Greek myth characters. The battle music specifically is really, really good, and anytime it's playing, I'm like, time to panic, but also, like, in a good way. Just like, time to panic, but also, yes, I get to fight something. Sometimes, though, there are certain battle monster enemies where I'm like, I hate this, and then the music actually does make me panic and get angry. But, like, most of the time I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's do this again. It's a super addicting game, and every single time that I die, I'm like, no, one more time. Like, I'll tell myself, after the time you die this time, you're gonna save the game as soon as you, like, resurrect. And I'm like, no, I have to keep playing. Just one more time. I can do it this time. And, like, that's good game design, because there's other games where I'm like, oh, I'm done for now, and I can just easily put the game away and, like, not pick it back up again for a bit. And then I'll get on it again, and then I'll get off it easily. Hades, I'm just like, yeah, no, we're gonna keep playing this until, like, the Switch dies or whatever. Because I'm gonna have to finish this game, and I will not be stopped by anything. Nothing's gonna get in my way. I love all the characters in this game, but my top 4 favorite characters are Artemis, Thanatos, Achilles, and Zagreus. I love Artemis because she doesn't put on airs like any of the other Olympians. I love Thanatos just because, like, if you've met him, I'm sure you can understand why I'd like him. I love Achilles because, like, who wouldn't love Achilles? Who wouldn't care about that boy? And then Zagreus, because everyone needs to care about Zagreus. He's hilarious, and also, I care about him so much. I didn't know him until I played this game, and now I know him, and now he needs my protection at all costs. I will get him out of Hades. He will have a happy life if it's the last thing I do. It probably will be the last thing I do, because this is a very hard game. But I will get him out of Hades. I would recommend this game to people who like Greek mythology and video games and really like it when every single character you meet has a very distinct personality, and also want to play a game that's difficult but like not to the point of frustration. Like you're not going to really want to throw the controller because you're going to want to keep trying because you kind of get rewarded for dying technically. So it's not the end of the world when you can't make it past that one room in the dungeon. It's like you're like kind of like, oh, but I get to go back home and see all these cool characters that I'm in love with. So recommend this game a lot, especially to people who are just like, I want to feel like I'm an epic gamer. That's my recommendation. Want to feel like an epic gamer and also like Greek mythology? Hades. This is a relatively short puzzle game that has like a secret agent scenario to it where you are having to solve like little puzzles all around this house and its surrounding area to stop this evil super secret agent lady from like this evil organization. And I found it a lot of fun, especially because I'm a sucker for a good like secret agent aesthetic, and the music and sound effects really help with that aesthetic, and also like the art style, honestly. It kind of reminds me of the art style that they have in Carmen Sandiego, like the 2019 slash like 2020, 2021. The Netflix Carmen Sandiego, it kind of reminds me of that art style. And it's a funny game. It's honestly a very funny game. The main character does not have a voice actor, but the other characters do. There's like 2 or 3 other characters who you hear the voices of, and they have voice actors. And I really like their voice actors. I think they do a really good job. But the main character that you're playing as, the only way you get like any of their dialogue or any of their personality is through like text that'll be on the top of the screen. And they're a very funny person. From what we see in their little like text responses to when you click on things, they're very funny. So I enjoyed that. I like the character a lot, even though we never hear them actually speak. This game has good puzzles that aren't too hard and aren't too easy, and like you might have to think for a bit, but you'll get them eventually. And then you'll feel like happy when you realize what the solution is, and it won't make you really annoyed. Except for like there was 1 or 2 puzzles in the game where I couldn't find out the answer and I had to look it up, and I was annoyed when I realized the answer. So there's only 1 or 2 things where I would be like, maybe you should have designed the game a little better, because I had trouble with that. But like aside from those like 2 things during the entire game, I really liked all of the other puzzles. And I would really recommend it, especially if you are a fan of like puzzle and mystery solving games, because there's a decent amount of the puzzles where I was like, oh, I recognize this kind of puzzle and I know what to do because I've seen this before in other games. I would recommend this game to anyone who really likes the secret agent aesthetic and also really likes puzzle games, but doesn't really have a lot of time to devote to a long game. This is a 3-dimensional puzzle game where you have to solve situational puzzles in each room you're in order to like move on to the next room by kind of using the environment. Like it's kind of weird to explain, but like if you have an object and it looks a certain way to you from where you are, if you're technically trying to drop it farther away and you drop it, it'll then get bigger. Or if you're dropping it somewhere and it looks like it's really close up, there's ways you can make it smaller and bigger. And so you use your environment and the things you find in your environment to like push down buttons and do other things to then get to the next room. And it's just a super cool game if you just want your mind to be blown constantly. There's just like jazzy lo-fi music, piano music that plays throughout like the whole game, and like I'm really here for it. It's really good. And it just makes all the puzzle solving like, well, I might be stressed out, but also like there's just like good chill music going on, so like I'm not that stressed out. Also, the game is hilarious. So if you like funny comedy games, this is definitely one of those kind of games. Overall, it's a pretty short game, and like technically you could probably complete it in like 2 hours or whatever, but like it took me 5 hours, but that's because I take forever to play games, apparently, even short games. But I would definitely recommend this game because even though like you're basically using the same like mechanic throughout the entire game and like nothing but that, it kind of like changes itself up over the course of the game to keep it like fresh and interesting. Like just as you're about to be like, oh, I'm bored, it's like, hi, welcome to a different way to use the same mechanic. And so I think it's really cool, and there's not really a big learning curve you need to do, even though they do keep changing up slightly what like the gist of what you're trying to do each level, quote unquote, is. But I really, really enjoyed it. And even though technically you wouldn't think it has replayability, I honestly plan on replaying it at some point. It's probably because of the jazzy lo-fi music, but don't judge me, it's good music. Also, for a game that has a very short runtime, somehow the ending got me feeling a little and also I'm like theorizing about it still. Like, I have theories about this game, and I'm sad that like no one's played it. Like, I want someone to just talk to me about this game because I have thoughts that are like spoilery, but like I have thoughts. It's a good ending. I didn't get emotional really at the ending the first time I played the game, but then I watched Markiplier play the game, and when I got to watching him playing the ending, I was like, huh, no, actually, no, I do feel feelings about this ending. So, it's an okay, good ending. I have thoughts about it. I have theories about the game and the world and the characters. So, can't share them here because that would be spoilery, but I've got them in here. So, contact me if you want to know all my thoughts about this video game. I would recommend this game to people who wish that the Stanley Parable wasn't just like a walking sim, and also who really like the environmental puzzle solving of Portal. I've been watching them since like 2014, like since they were playing Trauma Center Second Opinion, and currently the things that I'm watching are I'm slowly watching them, or I'm slowly rewatching them playing Breath of the Wild, and I'm also watching them play Danganronpa, the first game, and it's so much fun. Their playthrough is hilarious, and honestly, I now have like an allegiance to it. I'm like, there's so many other people I could watch play this game, but no, only them. Only them. I'm never gonna watch anybody else play this game. Which is a problem, because I want to watch other people's playthroughs, but my brain is like, no, only this one. This is the one you know. This is the one you will stay with. You're stuck here. I mean, like, it is what got me into the fandom finally, so, like, I have to thank it for that. But genuinely, I think it's a very funny playthrough. Because even though they only give everyone basically the same voice, the, like, things they say in the character voices are really funny. Like, the non-scripted things that they say, just, like, as the character. Like, I love it when people do that, and they just do that sometimes to, like, wonderful results. I love all the bits that they do in the game, but also, like, big shout out to their Byakuya, because some of the bits they've done with Byakuya are just perfect. That boy. He has my seal of approval. Fight me, but he has my seal of approval. I would recommend this channel to people who want to watch two friends playing games, poorly, I might add, but who are cracking jokes constantly while doing it. Okay, I had a headache, so I had to stop filming, but I'm back now. It's a new day, and I'm ready to film the rest of this video, so let's get back into it. Her art style is so cool. Like, it's so cool to watch her, like, make a piece. Just the way she's, like, layering her colors and just her art things. I don't do art enough to understand exactly how to explain what she's doing, but, like, it's so cool, and I just love her color palette and the way she paints, draws things. It's very, very interesting and unique, and she likes drawing animals a lot, and I'm not really an animal person, but, like, if anyone could get me into animals, I think she's the person who could get me into animals. She has a cute dog named Toadie, and she has a bird named Herc, and they're both so cute. They show up in her vlogs often, and I love them so much. I would recommend her channel to someone who wants home reno mixed in with their studio vlogs, and also really wants that coming from someone who has super cool and chill vibes, because she's, like, really super cool. Like, I don't know how to explain that to you in better terms, but I think the best way to describe her to someone is saying that she's just super cool and super chill. But yeah, she's doing home reno because she moved into a house recently, and it was a fixer-upper kind of a house, so her and her other roommates in the house are currently doing a lot of that. So if you're like, I want to see her packaging her orders, sending those out, also doing some painting and drawing, and also putting tile in a bathroom, you can get all of that in her studio vlogs, which is very fun and chaotic and very enjoyable, and I recommend it a lot. All he's really been doing lately is simulator videos, and I'm in love with them, honestly. I think they're hilarious. So that's just what I've been watching lately, is just Markiplier in whatever type of simulator he's doing that day. A big recommendation, though, would be watching him do Thief Simulator and watching him do, I don't know if it's, the video is titled anything special, but he played Teardown, I think it's called, and that was a very funny video. So those are my 2 recommendations, but literally all of the simulator videos are hilarious. So watch them all. Watch literally anything else he's making, but like those are the ones I'd recommend the most. And also, of course, I recommend any of his like non gaming videos, like the videos that feel like Unis Honest but aren't Unis Honest because Ethan's not there. A lot of them have to do with food. Like I would definitely recommend watching him eat the MREs because that it's long, but it's very funny and very interesting to watch. So I'd recommend that one out of all of the options you have. Just to start you off. Watch all of them, but to start you off, the MRE one is very good. I would recommend his channel to people who want solo gameplay videos from a person who is very, very funny and also often does one-off videos, like instead of doing like a whole series. He's not one to often do series, at least not lately. So if you like people who play games once and never again, or who play a game in one go, he's your man. Also, he's currently working on a Heist with Markiplier too, so get excited for that because I'm excited, so you should be excited too. I finally picked this book up because Cheyenne Barton mentioned it in a video like years ago, and so like I knew it existed, and I also think I knew it existed because like 1 or 2 other booktubers I think mentioned it a while ago, but I finally caved in and bought the book because of the fact that not only is it I have to like everything that Cheyenne Barton likes because she has impeccable taste in everything apparently, but also this gives me intense dark Haikyuu vibes, and so I was like, well, I like Haikyuu, so I kind of really gotta read this book, and I'm so glad I did. I love this book so much. I'm only halfway through with it, but like, it is such a good book. You've gotta read it. It's so good. I don't want to like give away a bunch of it, so I'm gonna try and give like a vague summary that kind of might give away a little bit of stuff, but like not enough to be like, oh, it's gonna ruin your enjoyment of it, because I only knew like the vague summary of the book as well when I started reading it, and it's so much better when you don't really know truly what you're getting into. Basically, this book is about a made-up sport called Exy, and also it has like mob families and Yakuza sprinkled in, which is like wild, but like it makes sense and it feels correct in here, so very interesting. Again, I'm only halfway through, so I probably could explain that more specifically if I'd read the rest of the book. I love the characters and their dynamics and the very interesting way that family plays into the story in like many different ways. Because of this book and because of Haikyuu, I now actually have an appreciation for sports stories, so I'm now more likely to pick up a sports story than I was before. Probably has to be one with very good character dynamics in it, but like, if you know of any of those, I would love to check them out. I would recommend this trilogy to people who really like reading about complex and troubled characters and also want a little bit of fictional sports in their life, which comes with the added baggage of a lot of stress. Like, I am so stressed out reading this book. So, it's fun. It's stressful though. The constant feeling I had while reading this book was just bittersweet dread, because I knew what was going to happen in the end, so any good moment wasn't as good as it could be. It was just me thinking, this is gonna make the ending hurt more. I know it's coming. It's still gonna hurt though. And that's just the whole book. I don't really have anything else to compare the writing style to, but I would describe it as being very like lavishly Greek, and I would definitely recommend it because I really liked it. My favorite character ended up not being Achilles or Patroclus, it actually ended up being Odysseus, but like, that kind of makes sense. I understand why Odysseus ended up being my favorite character, because he's a schemy boy. And he's just great all around. Madeline Miller writes him very well, and like if she ever were to write a retelling of the Odyssey, I would 100% read it because I really enjoy her Odysseus. I would recommend this book to people who want to get into Greek literature or Greek tangential literature, but really don't want to read an epic poem in order to do that. I only got into this series at the very beginning of this year, but like, I'm in love, and I think I found a new favorite middle grade series. Just everything about this book is a lot of the things that I love about middle grade, and I'm so upset that I never got into it until, like, just now. I love Percy's narrator voice so much. Like, he's such a funny character, and I really like the fact that we get to read the story, like, very specifically from his perspective. I know a decent amount about Greek mythology, so it was really fun to read the book and just, like, hang out around some certain characters, and also, like, see how Rick Riordan specifically wrote the characters, and also, like, how he's utilizing them within the story plot. If I were a half-blood, I would either be the daughter of Apollo, Hades, or Artemis, but I can't decide which one. I would recommend this book series to people who like comedic middle grade, and also to people who had a Greek mythology phase when they were younger, or technically also still do, because that's definitely the situation that I'm in. If I had to use 2 words to describe this movie, I would say it's simply humorous. This is now the only Christmas movie I would ever watch for having an actual, like, love of the movie, because, like, I would watch The Grinch to laugh at it, but, like, this is a movie that I'd watch to be like, yes, I'm in love with Christmas and with this movie. It's the only one. I cried during multiple parts of this movie, but, like, definitely at the end. Like, I can't wait for the next time I sit down and watch this movie, because I'll just be like, time to cry again. Time to cry about Christmas. This is a wonderfully animated movie that just so happens to be about the origin story of Santa's gifts on Christmas. But, like, it's so pretty to look at. The way they animate things in this movie is just so nice. And it's, like, it feels different and also familiar. So if you're a fan of animation, I would definitely watch this movie for that. I can see myself in Jesper a lot, and honestly, like, a lot of characters like him. I think I watch movies and read books and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this character, that's me, so I relate to Jesper a lot. And I feel like I'm like him as a person in certain aspects. I would recommend this movie to people who want a Christmas movie that actually ends up shaking up, like, the old Grinch to good trope, and who also wants it to be beautifully animated. I could make an entire video just talking about this movie. So, like, if you want me to make a video about that, please tell me, because I will 100% make it if people will actually watch it, because this is the funniest and most interesting Barbie movie I've ever seen. Yes, I will die on the hill that Magic Pegasus is my actual favorite Barbie movie ever, but, like, in terms of all the other Barbie movies, this is second best within, like, 1% of it. In my mind, it's actually probably better than Magic of Pegasus, but I just have decided to die on a stupid hill, so, you know, that's where we are right now. This movie is too funny. It's too funny, but also on top of that, the music is actually so good, and the vocal performances and the singing are, like, Barbie movies have, like, high budgets sometimes, so, like, they have good people, but, like, the performances that these people do are just so good in this movie. I really love all of the interactions that, like, Detective Julian has with Preminger. Like, they're very specifically done and they're very funny. I just love it when they interact. I find it really funny that Erica has songs with Dominic and with Julian, but Annalise has none. And it's like, you could have fit in a song with her and Julian, but you didn't. You just gave one of the girls songs with both of the eligible bachelors. I just find it very funny that they decided to do that, because it's like, look who has chemistry with people. This one girl. Look who has chemistry with people. Not Annalise, apparently. She doesn't have enough chemistry with Julian to sing with him. I really would have liked it if they had given Dominic, like, just a little bit more, like, motivation and backstory, because, like, I love him and all, but, like, I just wanted a little bit more out of him. I really wish that they would turn this into a stage musical, because, like, you can't watch How Can I Refuse and tell me that it doesn't look exactly like certain numbers were choreographed in high school theater. Like, I promise you that I was in certain productions where we would have the villain people doing a dance, and it would look exactly like How Can I Refuse. So, like, please make it into a stage musical, because it basically already is one. I would recommend this movie to people who want to laugh a lot, but also who want, like, genuinely good musical performances in their Barbie movies. So much better. So much better. Hello, much better. And oh, much better.